How you spend your ores is probably the most important decision that you're going to make in Clash of Clans, because hero equipment is everything. So in today's video, we're going to rank every single bit of hero equipment on a tier list, and then I'm going to give you a minimum level for each of them. Here's the tier list. Now, it's worth noting, I'm going to be ranking the equipment not just based on their strength, but how well they pair with other hero equipment, because it's pointless if it's really strong if it doesn't pair well with your second option. So let's start off here. We're going to start off with the Barbarian Puppet. This goes straight in D tier, and this is really simple. Never put your ores into it. I would never recommend that you spend your precious ores, even if you're at Town Hall 7. Do not put them in the Barbarian Puppet. You will never use it beyond Town Hall 7. Next up, we have the Rage Vial. This is going to go in C tier because it is actually usable at the lower Town Hall levels, particularly if you don't have the Giant Gauntlet or the Spiky Ball unlocked. This is a really good backup. So my minimum level for this, particularly if you're at the lower Town Halls, is level 6. Then if you're at the higher Town Halls, I don't really have a minimum level for you because you should have one of the Giant Gauntlet or the Spiky Ball unlocked and use them instead of the Rage Vial instead. It really has no place at the higher Town Hall levels. Next up, we have the Vamp Stash, and if you asked me a couple of months ago, I probably would have put the Vamp Stash potentially in A tier because it is so good at the lower Town Hall levels. But now I'm going to put it at the top of C, and there's one reason for that, and that is the Earthquake Boots, which, by the way, we're going to put in A tier. It's a fantastic equipment. Because of the Earthquake Boots, at lower Town Halls, you're using your Barb King in the center of the base more with the Earthquake Boots to open it up, and the Vamp Stash isn't as good. And then with the air attack strategies, you're now probably going to look at bringing the Minion Prince instead of the Barb King entirely. So you're not going to use the Vamp Stash on the outside of the base for that. So the Vamp Stash, it's definitely gone down in ranking because of the Minion Prince and the Earthquake Boots, and because of that, I would recommend if you're going to use it, particularly at the lower Town Hall levels, you're going to want it maxed, because the higher level it is, obviously, the more health recovery you're going to get. And then at the higher Town Hall levels, I have no level for you. You should not be using this above Town Hall 15. Whereas with the Earthquake Boots, this is really interesting because at the lower Town Hall levels, the minimum level is level 1 because it can do everything you need it to do at level 1. It doesn't do as much damage, doesn't get as many passive stats, but it will open up all the walls. Then at the higher Town Hall levels, I've got the minimum level as level 12 because you get a really nice jump in the percentage damage there, and all the jumps from there on till level 18 aren't as big. So if you've got it level 12, you can use it from Town Hall 15 onwards. Next up, we've got the Giant Gauntlet. This is going to go in B tier. It is still quite strong, but it's completely overshadowed by the Spiky Ball and the Earthquake Boots combination that is unbelievably powerful. Another reason why the Earthquake Boots is in A tier is because it pairs so well with the Spiky Ball, which is the best equipment on the King currently. Now, in terms of minimum levels, at the lower levels, the Gauntlet at level 9 is really strong, so I definitely recommend getting it to level 9, and then you can use it from there onwards. For Town Hall 15 plus, I would recommend getting it to level 21. You get a really nice boost at level 21, and anything beyond that, it's nice to have, but it really isn't needed. Lastly, for the Barbarian King, we have the Spiky Ball. This goes in S tier. It is so strong, not just at the higher Town Hall levels, but the lower Town Hall levels as well, where there's far less buildings and they have far less HP. Now, if you're going to use it at the lower Town Hall levels, the minimum level I've got for that is level 12. Now, because it's so strong, you probably could use it at level 3 or 6, but level 12, you get that extra bounce, so it's really important to have it at level 12. For the lower Town Halls. Then the higher Town Halls, level 18 is the minimum. It's still so strong, you can use it at level 18. Even if your Gauntlet is far higher, the Spiky Ball is insanely strong. Now moving into the Archer Queen equipment, and yeah, same exact thing with the Archer Puppet as the Barb Puppet. Complete trash, never put any ores in it. Next up, we have the Invis Vial, and this has kind of suffered the same fate as the Vamp Stash in my opinion, where it was really strong about 3 months ago. Then we had the Magic Mirror brought into the game, and the Magic Mirror has kind of made it obsolete. Now, I'm still going to put it in C tier, because for those at lower Town Halls that might not have the Magic Mirror unlocked, the Invis Vial is definitely really good, and you can use it really in all situations. But if you've got the Magic Mirror, there is never any need to use the Invis Vial in Clash of Clans. In terms of minimum levels, I would look at level level 9 at the lower Town Hall levels, and then at the higher Town Hall levels, like I said, you should have the Magic Mirror unlocked, so there's no need to ever put any ores into it. But if in case you don't have the Magic Mirror unlocked, then level 15 is a great minimum level for the Invis Vial. Next up, we have the Giant Arrow, and this for me is a classic B tier. It's really good at what it does, so if you're doing air spam attack strategies or trying to activate an Invis Tower, it is fantastic, but it really doesn't do anything more than just that, but it does that obviously very, very well. Now, in terms of the minimum level for this, I don't really have a minimum level that is universal, is the best way to put it. Essentially, make sure your Giant Arrow does enough damage to take down the air defenses at the Town Hall you're at. So, at Town Hall 17, you need it at level 18. You need it maxed out. At the lower Town Halls, it'll depend on the air defense of the hit points of the air defense, that you're going up against. Next up, we have the Healer Puppet, and this goes in A tier. It's not necessarily the strongest by itself, but it pairs so well with any hero equipment option. Literally all of them, except maybe the Frozen Arrow, it has a great combination with, so definitely worth putting your ores into. Now, in terms of minimum levels, the minimum level, if you're at a lower Town Hall, I believe you unlock it at Town Hall 12, is level 6, because that's when you get the second healer, but at the higher Town Halls, you want to get it up to level 15, because that's when you get the third healer spawned, and that's really when the Healer Puppet comes into its own. The Frozen Arrow has very much suffered the same fate as the Giant Gauntlet. 3 months ago, really strong, but then we got the new Mirror Clone that's kind of dethroned it and made it a little bit obsolete. Now, the Frozen Arrow still is really strong, particularly if you're doing Queen charges, it's irreplaceable, but in every other attack strategy, it is definitely very replaceable compared to the Mirror Clone. In terms of the minimum levels for the Frozen Arrow, I would be looking at level 11 if you're at a lower Town Hall level, which isn't a multiple of 3, by the way, because you get an extra frost duration at level 11, and then for the higher Town Halls, I'd get it to level 18. That's the minimum level I'd have it at, because you get a really good frost reduction there. But anything beyond that, it's nice to have, but not necessary. And I'd recommend, instead of putting ores into the Frozen Arrow beyond level 18, put it into the Magic Mirror instead, which is going to the top of A, because it pairs perfectly with literally every single hero equipment that you have on the Archer Queen. There is no bad combination except for the Archer Puppet, but you know, the Archer Puppet is complete trash, so we're not even going to worry about that. In terms of minimum level for the Magic Mirror, level 9 for the lower levels, because you get it up to 25 seconds duration for your one clone, and at the higher Town Hall levels, level 18, because that's when you get the second clone, and it really, really becomes super strong. But every level beyond that is still technically worth it. Just level 18 is the minimum level. Now onto the Grand Warden's equipment, and the Eternal Tome for me goes straight in A tier. It pairs beautifully with every equipment except the 2 epic equipments, which is really interesting. But the Healing Tome, Rage Gem, and Life Gem are all, well, not the Life Gem, but the other 2 are definitely very strong, and it's just worth putting your ores into. I'd get it up to level 9 if you're at the lower Town Hall levels immediately, because you do get a nice duration on that. Then at the higher Town Halls, level 15 is enough, but obviously I'd recommend you get it to level 18. It's worth every single ore. Next up, we have the Life Gem. It's going in D tier. It's nowhere near as bad as the Barb Puppet and Archer Puppet, though. If I could leave like a massive gap between them, I would. But the problem with the Life Gem is just the Healing Tome and Rage Gem are so strong, and the Life Gem really doesn't give that many extra hit points. At max, it's only 870, and most of the time you can get the same thing with the Apprentice Warden anyway, so just no real great use cases ever for it. If you do decide to put your ores into it at the lower levels, I'd have it at level 9, and at the higher levels, you need it at level 18 to get the maximum extra hit points out of it. Next up, we have the Rage Gem, and this for me, it might even go in front of the Healer Puppet. Nah, it's going to go just behind the Healer Puppet. This is so strong, and it pairs well with a lot of the other hero equipment. You can use it with the Fireball. It's always the go-to when you're using the Fireball, and obviously Fireball is ridiculously strong in Clash of Clans at the moment. But on top of that, it's great for armies where you use a lot of spells at the start of the attack, and then you don't have many spells for your main push. So it's like Super Archer Clones, even Electro Boots charges, because you just have permanent rages on your troops for the entire entire battle, and it pairs really well with healers or druids as well. It's just an unbelievably strong equipment. In terms of the minimum levels, I'll be looking at level 9 if you're at the lower town halls, and level 15 if you're at the higher town halls. Obviously, you want to get it to max, but the level 15 to 18 is not that big a jump. Next up, we have the Healing Tome, and this for me is like in between the end of A and the start of B. We'll put it at the end of A because it still is unbelievably strong. It isn't as strong as it used to be. It got a pretty hefty nerf, but still worth putting your ores into, particularly if you've got lots of rage spells in your army already. Then you don't need the Rage Gem, bring the Healing Tome instead. Works great with air spam armies and ground spam armies in particular, and also Lalo and Super Hog armies too. Now, in terms of minimum levels, level 9 at the lower levels because you do get a nice extra amount of time with that. And then at the higher town halls, level 15 is the minimum, but I would recommend getting it up to level 18. It's a very versatile equipment. Next up, we have the Fireballer. This is probably the most interesting one of every equipment because it's not very versatile at all. You can only really use it with Fireball attack strategies or with Super Archer clones where you're investing your Warden with the Blimp. But in spite of that, I'm still going to put it in S tier just because of how undefendable it is, and it does so much work and enables the rest of your army to run over the base. And it's probably the reason I've got the Rage Gem ahead of the Healing Tome. It's because the Rage Gem pairs awesomely with the Fireball, whereas the Healing Tome doesn't. In terms of minimum levels, now this is different to the others. So you do unlock the Warden, obviously, at Town Hall 11, but Fireball isn't too strong at Town Hall 11. At Town Hall 12 is really when it comes into its own because you get the Super Witches. And I would recommend you get it to level 18. You can get it to level 18 at Town Hall 12 because you do get a radius increase at level 18. And that's where it really gets into its own. So it is a lot of ores to get it to level 18. It is the highest minimum level of everything today. But trust me, if you get it to level 18, it is 100% worth it. You'll be able to use it basically throughout all the Town Hall levels, and at Town Hall 17, the minimum level I would have it at is level 23, because then it's 2 Earthquakes to finish off basically every building. The Lava Loon Puppet, I'm not even going to bother putting it on. I mean, what a trash equipment, what a stupid idea, not even going to touch it. Next up, we have the Royal Gem, and this is really sad, because it actually pairs well with just about every single hero equipment. It's just weak. It's just so weak. If it added way more damage and, you know, way more healing or way more hit points, then maybe it would be useful. But it's just such weak stats that doesn't matter that it pairs well. Don't really put your ores into it. It's not going to be used long term. Next up, we have the Seeking Shield. This for me is going to go in C tier. It is really nice guaranteed damage, and it does pair terrifically with the Rocket Spear, but it doesn't pair well with any of the other hero equipment. So unless you're using the Rocket Spear a lot, or unless you're at Town Hall 13 where you're kind of forced to use these two equipment, you're not really going to be putting ores into it. In terms of the minimum levels for it, at the lower Town Halls, you want it at minimum level 9. So Town Hall 13, I guess, because that's when you unlock the champion, because you get a nice damage increase. And at the higher Town Halls, you want it maxed out because it can do up to 10,000 damage, and it's worth that last level upgrade. Next up, we have the Hog Rider Puppet. Now, this isn't that strong by itself, but it does get a really good combination with the Haste Vial, with the Rocket Spear, and with the Electro Boots. It's a great supporting hero equipment. It will never be the best hero equipment of the two you run, but it will enable the stronger hero equipment to do what it needs to do. So that's why I'm putting it in B tier. It is at the bottom, but the health recovery, the invisibility, and the hogs to tank is really nice. Now, in terms of the minimum levels, minimum level 12 for basically Town Hall 13 and 14. So you do have to put a bit of ores into it at the start, because that's when you get a higher level hog and just more of them. Obviously more health recovery as well. And then at the higher Town Halls, you need this maxed out, because otherwise at level 15, you've got really low level hogs with it, and those hogs will get destroyed. So make sure if you're going to use it from basically Town Hall 15 upwards, you need it maxed out. Next up, we have the Haste Vial, and for this, so about a month ago, probably would have put it, here. Now it's going to go up into A tier, and I'm actually going to put it, Yeah, I'm going to put it right here because of how well it pairs with the Electro Boots. We'll get into that later, but it pairs so well with the Electro Boots. It also does pair rather nicely with the Hog Puppet as well. That's still two of the stronger combinations we've got in the game, and it's just guaranteed damage, but I really like the passive stats on it, getting the extra speed up on how quickly she shoots. People don't realize how much extra damage the Royal Champion is doing because of it, because I can feel how slow she is when she doesn't have the haste vial on her. In terms of minimum levels, minimum level 12 at Town Hall 13 and 14, and then from Town Hall 15 onwards, level 15 is enough. If you can get it to level 18, that's really nice, but level 15 is more than enough. Next up, we have the Rocket Spear, and this was a really difficult one because I do like the Rocket Spear, but I gotta put it at the top of B. Now, a week ago, or a month ago, sorry, I would have put it in A tier, maybe even S tier, but the introduction of the Electro Boots has shown that maybe the Rocket Spear isn't as strong as we thought, and the biggest problem with the Rocket Spear, in my opinion, is it doesn't mesh well with really any of the other hero equipment you've got with the Royal Champion. Now, it can work with the Electro Boots, but not because they're actually a good combination, just because both of them in isolation are really strong. They actually don't work that well together. It does work well with the Seeking Shield, not really that well with the Royal Gem, not that good with the Hog Puppet, but okay, and definitely not good with the Haste Vial at all. So, gonna put it at the top of B. If you are gonna use it in your attack strategies, it is really strong and it's worth the ores. But if it's not something in your attack strategy, maybe don't put the ores into it because it doesn't get good combinations with many of the other equipment. In terms of minimum levels, at the lower town halls, it's level 9 because you get the extra spear, and at the higher town halls, it's level 18 for the same exact reason. Now we get to the Electro Boots, and I think this is the best hero equipment in the game. In fact, I'm going to reorder this top level. I think this is the best hero equipment in the game. Now, it might be nerfed by the time I put this video out. I doubt that. I think it's going to get a nerf in February, probably, because it is unbelievably strong, really taking over the game. And the biggest reason it's strong is not only is it strong in and of itself, but it enables the equipment like the Haste Vial to get maximum possible value. It really unlocked the Haste Vial, unlike any of the other equipment you've got with the Royal Champion. Now, in terms of the minimum levels, the Electro Boots are at the lower levels, minimum level 9. I mean, you can use it at level 3 if you want. It's still strong at level 3, but I would say minimum level 9 because it's worth putting the ores into. Then at the higher town hall levels, level 15's enough, even though it goes all the way up to level 27. Level 15's enough, but I would recommend you put more ores in it than that because it is the best hero equipment in the entire game. Next up, we have the Henchman Puppet. I'm going to put this at the bottom of C. I got a feeling this is the equipment that we will drop when we eventually get a Minion Prince epic equipment, but it's not useless like the stuff in D tier. It's just not that strong because the Henchman's just really aren't that good. The Invis is obviously really nice, but yeah, the Henchman's not that good at all. In terms of minimum level 3 at the lower town hall levels. I wouldn't recommend putting too many more ores into that because you'd rather put it into all the stuff you see in S, A, and B tier here. And then for the higher town halls, level 9 is enough. I mean, you don't really have any other choices for hero equipment at the moment, but you don't want to put ores into it now and then just never use it once we get an epic equipment for the Minion Prince. Then next up, and then the final equipment of the video is the Dark Orb. I'm going to put this at the bottom of B tier. No, you know what? We are going to move it up a bit of B tier. This is really strong. It slows down so many defenses on the base. The range is awesome, and it's actually surprisingly easy to use. I find it much easier than, say, the Giant Arrow. You just need to be able to keep track of your Minion Prince, and I imagine you will keep using this hero equipment even when an epic equipment comes for the Minion Prince. Now, in terms of minimum levels for this, at the lower levels, level 6 is more than enough. You get a nice slowdown effect with that. And then at the higher levels, level 12 is enough. You can put more ores into it if you want because, well, you don't really have another choice and it is the strongest Minion Prince equipment. But, you know, you might want to put it into some of your other heroes because unless you're using air spam attack strategies, you're probably not using the Minion Prince in many attacks. In fact, he's probably on perma upgrade at the moment. So what's the point in putting ores into it if you're not going to use it anyway? Now, I did try and keep this video short. I'm sorry if I failed at doing that, but hopefully you all got some insight, and this should be valid until basically we get some balance changes. But I don't really see anything getting balanced except for maybe these two, but these two are still going to be strong unless they get the biggest nerf in Clash of Clans history. So I think this will be valid for a few months at least. Let me know what you disagree with down in the comments below. Would love to hear all your opinions, but that's it from me. Hopefully this helps you, and we'll see you later this week for a fun video.